Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed.
Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. The government has kept the community quarantine regulations across the country at varying levels this July to stem the coronavirus outbreak. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte has approved the new community quarantine status in the country recommended by the government task force in charge of addressing the pandemic, according to presidential spokesman Harry Roque. Under the recommendation of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, Metro Manila, Rizal, and Bulacan will stay under general community quarantine with some restrictions from July 1 to 15, while Laguna and Cavite will be under GCQ with heightened restrictions until mid-July. Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine, or MECQ, will be imposed from July 1 to 15 for the following 21 areas, which include Bataan, Iloilo, and Davao City. 26 other areas under GCQ until July 30 will include Baguio, Batangas, Bacolod City, and Zamboanga City. The rest of the Philippines will remain under the modified GCQ for the month of July. Roque noted that although the President has approved the IATF recommendation, the new community quarantine restrictions are still subject to the appeal of the local government units. Under the quarantine rules, Roque said gyms and fitness centers located in Metro Manila, Rizal, and Bulacan will be allowed to operate up to 40% capacity. Operations of indoor sports courts will be permitted at 50% capacity. In these three GCQ areas, museums and historical sites may operate to 40% capacity subject to compliance with minimum public health standards. Personal care services like salons and beauty clinics are allowed at 50% only for services not requiring mask removal. Also allowed are indoor dining at 40% capacity, outdoor dining at 50%, and outdoor tourist attractions at 50% capacity. The threat of the Delta coronavirus variant is the monkey wrench that prevents the government from allowing the resumption of face-to-face classes in the country, according to President Duterte. Given such virus threats, the President has asked for forgiveness from parents over the delay in the education of the students. In his Monday televised address, Duterte explained that he could not yet allow the students to physically return to school for their own health and safety. He asserted that he could not gamble with the lives of students as the country continued to battle the coronavirus outbreak. Duterte said he had no problem with the Department of Education's move to bring normalcy into the education of students, but he expressed concern about the danger posed by the highly contagious Delta variant. He said he would take responsibility if anything happens to the students. Duterte also asked for an apology from Education Secretary Leonor Briones over his decision against the resumption of in-person classes. He said that he cannot allow face-to-face classes not until he gets a clear picture of how this COVID-19 works on the health of the people. Duterte said the government was forced to implement stricter measures to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in the country. He noted the Delta variant was considered more aggressive and more fatal compared to the original strain. President Duterte has taunted Senator Manny Pacquiao for his promise to end squatting and build subdivisions for informal settlers if he becomes president. The chief executive also ripped Pacquiao for hinting of corruption in his administration. Just recently, Pacquiao told broadcaster Anthony Taberna in his online show Tune In with Tunying that no one will live in a squatter area when he becomes president, and that he will push to eradicate corruption because it is the root of poverty. The senator said he knew what it was to be poor because he also slept on the streets and went hungry before he became a boxing champion and a global icon. Pacquiao has been vocal about wanting to run as president, though he lately demurs and said he will think about what position to seek before the filing of the certificate of candidacy in October. But Duterte criticized these promises, adding that it is not that easy to finish housing projects for the poor because of a system of conversion. The president said forest lands have to be turned into agricultural land first before they can be converted into residential areas. He lamented that converting lands into residential areas should be done in as fast as 3 days and that it took 2 years and they are milking it in the past. Taal Volcano in Batangas continues to produce high levels of volcanic sulfur dioxide and steam-rich plumes that reached 2.5 kilometers high in the past 24 hours. That is according to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology. PhilVox said the volcano's sulfur dioxide emission averaged 14,326 tons per day on Monday, June 28, which is higher than 4,771 tons daily average on Sunday, June 27. It also detected 10 volcanic earthquakes and low-level background tremor that has persisted since April 8, 2021. PhilVox reiterated that there remains a possibility of sudden steam or gas-driven explosions, volcanic earthquakes, minor ash fall, and lethal accumulations or expulsions of volcanic gas that can occur and threaten areas within and around the Taal Volcano Island. Meanwhile, Science and Technology Undersecretary and PhilVox OIC Renato Solidum Jr. said the smog observed in Metro Manila was not due to the Taal Volcano's steady emission of sulfur dioxide that caused volcanic smog or VOG over the volcano island yesterday. In a text message to the Manila Bulletin this morning, Solidum said the smog in Metro Manila is simply pollution from vehicle and industrial emissions. The volcanic plume from Taal is blown towards the northeast and not towards Metro Manila. People with asthma, lung disease, and heart disease, as well as elderly, pregnant women, and children were advised to stay indoors as much as possible. Solidum reminded the public that Taal Volcano remains under Alert Level 2 due to continuous increased unrest. In Metro News, Quezon City government allocates 250 million pesos fund for workers' hazard pay. Pasay City Mayor reminds residents not to be complacent on the decreasing active COVID-19 cases. And Manila recognizes 18 outstanding barangay chairpersons. More from these reports.
The local government of Quezon City approved on Monday a 250 million peso fund for hazard pay of all its eligible workers during the implementation of enhanced community quarantine and modified ECQ. Under Ordinance Number SP 3025 Series of 2021, all workers, regular, contractual, casual, and those who are under job order will receive 500 peso hazard pay per day of duty. Meanwhile, barangay personnel who are under plantilla and contractual positions will receive a hazard pay of 200 peso per day under Ordinance Number SP 3026 Series of 2021. Pasay City Mayor Emmy Calixto Robiano reminded residents not to be complacent on the decreasing number of active coronavirus disease cases in the city. Robiano said Pasay residents are still expected to adhere to the public minimum health standards like the required wearing of face masks at all times and wearing face shields and observing physical distancing protocols. Pasay City has coordinated with the national government in strictly monitoring arriving balikbayans and overseas Filipino workers who may be carriers of the Delta variant. The mayor also said the city government continues to provide regular assistance like food items and vitamins to affected residents. 18 barangay chairpersons who displayed outstanding efforts in managing their zones amid the COVID-19 pandemic were recognized by the Manila City Government. Mayor Francisco Escom Moreno Dumagoso and Vice Mayor Hani Lacuna Pangan gave the 2021 Outstanding Punong Barangays Award during the City Hall's Monday's flag raising ceremony. Dumagoso said people have no one to turn to expect the government in these trying times. He reminded all public officials, whether elected or appointed, to focus on their obligations, that is, the delivery of public service at all times.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. PCSO distributes 3 million pesos worth of medical and food aid for Panay. Cebu City temporarily halts COVID vaccine drive. And 6 ex-BIFF members in Maguindanao pledge loyalty to the government. Let's check out the details.
The Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office or PCSO distributed 3 million pesos worth of medical and food aid for Panay Island. PCSO General Manager Royina Garma led the distribution of the various aids to selected local governments in Aklan, Antique, Capiz, and Iloilo provinces. Items distributed included stethoscopes, blood pressure apparatus, wheelchairs, vitamins, and food packs. This will be distributed to rural health units in the said provinces. The aid distribution for Panay Island is the latest in the assistance of PCSO since the pandemic began last March 2020. Cebu City's vaccination drive had to be stopped again after it ran out of COVID-19 vaccine supply. The city's 5 vaccination sites were closed on Monday after the 5,000 Sinovac doses that the city received last Wednesday had been consumed. According to the City Health Department, some 270,000 individuals have registered online for vaccination. Of the total registrants, 60,000 belong to the A4 priority group. The Cebu City Health Department feared that the constant suspension of vaccinations may affect the public's interest to get vaccinated. 6 members of the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters or BIFF who voluntarily surrendered to the military in Datu Piang, Maguindanao on Monday pledged their allegiance to the government. The former extremists also yielded 6 high-powered firearms. One of the surrenderers said that they grew tired of always running away from intense military operations, prompting them to yield. Mayor Sulaiman Sandigan of nearby Datu Salibo town facilitated their surrender.
In world news, Indonesian hospitals to test Ivermectin for COVID-19 therapy. Mask-free and low-risk, Italy welcomes milestone. And European Union and the World Health Organization to launch a new tool for pandemic contact tracing. Details in these reports.
8 hospitals in Indonesia are set to conduct clinical trials on Ivermectin, an anti-parasitic medicine that is appeared to be a potential COVID-19 medication following a permit issued by the National Agency of Drug and Food Control. BPOM's head Penny K. Loquito said at a press conference on Monday that global data and guidelines from the World Health Organization show that Ivermectin, previously used for deworming, can also be used for COVID-19 treatment. However, data are still being collected and the results are not conclusive. Loquito has called on the public not to take these medicines freely, considering that Ivermectin must be prescribed by doctors. Clinical trials are expected to be conducted over a period of 3 months. All of Italy became a masks-free, low-risk zone for coronavirus Monday, marking a dramatic milestone for the first European country to be hit by a global pandemic in February 2020. In a decree that took effect Monday, the Health Ministry for the first time classified each of Italy's 20 regions as white, signifying low risks under the country's color-coded classification system that evaluates COVID-19 risk. That means face masks will no longer be compulsory in outdoor areas. Welcome news across the country, where an ongoing heat wave is expected to push temperature past 40 degrees Celsius in some southern areas this week. Despite the progress, Health Minister Roberto Esperanza urged Italians to be vigilant. The European Center for Disease Prevention and Control and the WHO's regional office have developed a tool to evaluate the public health effectiveness of contact tracing solutions, according to a statement on Monday. The tool, described as an indicator framework, will provide countries with a standardized approach for evaluating their use of digital proximity tracing solutions. It will also assess the extent to which these solutions have aided national contact tracing strategies for COVID-19, according to ECDC statement.
In entertainment, a Filipino-American trans woman made history as she is set to represent the state of Nevada at the 2021 Miss USA Beauty Pageant. Let's watch this report.
For the first time, a Filipino-American trans woman will compete at the Miss USA 2021 pageant on November 29. This after Catalina Enriquez won Miss Nevada USA on June 28, earning her the right to represent the American state at the Miss USA 2021 beauty pageant. She studied fashion design at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Las Vegas. In 2016, she launched her own fashion brand, Cataluna Couture. If she wins Miss USA 2021, Cataluna will be the second trans woman to compete at the Miss Universe contest, the first being Angela Ponce of Spain in 2018.
In sports, the Los Angeles Clippers won against Phoenix Suns and kept its bid for the championship alive. Let's watch this story.
Paul George scored 41 points as the Los Angeles Clippers kept their NBA Western Conference Final Series alive with a battling 116-102 road victory over the Phoenix Suns on Monday. The Clippers' talisman exploded for 20 points alone in the third quarter to take the game away from Phoenix, who took a fleeting lead midway through the period with a Chris Paul jump shots. It was the only time Phoenix held the lead throughout Game 5, and the Clippers can now level the series at 3-3 with a victory in Game 6 in Los Angeles on Wednesday. The win marked the third time during these playoffs that the Clippers have won an elimination game.